Well, just because the league is at an end doesn't mean this show is. Yes, welcome along to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. And in the week that we had the FAWNL End of Season Awards, which will become the vast majority of this week's show. We're also starting now to look ahead to next season already. We're getting new managers in place. There's a club that's announced a new ground already, but we're still waiting for two of the new teams to come into the FAWNL, and it looks as though we're going to have three teams moving within the same tier into different divisions, but we'll have to wait and see what the FAWNL decide about that. A quick piece then of kind of housekeeping before we get really into the show. This week on the Women's Football Chat Twitter page, which is at WFootballChat, the end of season stats articles are going out. 4 leagues have been done now. The final 2 are coming out tomorrow, which is Friday. And they've been really well received as they were at Christmas. Doing it again now at the end of the season. It's really interesting to see where teams are stronger and not quite so strong. So there are a few examples where teams are like third in their division in scoring goals, but like down in 9th for conceding them, and they've finished kind of mid-table. It's interesting to see there where teams are stronger and weaker, and it kind of helps the teams as well see areas where they might want to improve. Yeah, so the first 4 of those are out. You can get them via at WFootballChat. The full article is on www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com, and make sure you bookmark that website, because in a couple of weeks when the Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout Tournament begins, that's where all of the voting will take place as you try and get your favourite team to win this season's competition. Now in its 3rd year, the Summer Knockout Tournament. So then, we will go into the awards in a lot more detail later on, but first we're going to go through some of the news from the past 7 days, and we're going to start with Boldmere St Michael's, who have announced their new manager for next season as former professional footballer Carl Henry, who used to play for Wolves, among others. And so he has been announced as the new manager. The piece put out says that the board are delighted to announce the appointment of Mr. Carl Henry, ex-Wolves legend and Premiership professional, as the new Boldmere women's first team coach. The chairman has said, Carl and I first met a couple of years ago when he joined Boldmere St Michael's junior section as a coach. I can confirm he is not only a great guy, but an excellent coach and motivator. Will now start his senior management journey at our fantastic football club. As you would expect, Carl is a total professional in and around football, and our club motto of pride, passion and belief is Carl through and through. His coaching sessions and football knowledge are second to none, and he's currently working towards his UEFA A licence. All of us at Boldmere St Michael's wish Carl every success, and we look forward to supporting him to achieve his goals here at the club. In terms of the reaction, it's a little bit of it's not quite gone down as well as perhaps the club would hope. There's a comment here: he must be a nice guy and yes, play football to a high level, but he has no experience in women's football, and he's been hired despite so many female experienced coaches around. Another comment says at least he'll only be able to abuse adult referees. Boldmere St Michael's then put out in November 2023, so only November, Bournemouth St Michael's Football Club, this was, on their Twitter back in November. Bournemouth St Michael's Football Club are aware of the debate caused by comments made by Carl Henry regarding junior referees. We'd like to take this opportunity to reassure anyone with concerns that these are Carl's own comments and views and are not those of Bournemouth St Michael's Football Club. A couple of obviously comments saying congratulations, and then there's another one that says, Jesus, what an appointment to make, beggars belief, good luck with that one. So it is a very big change from in November they're aware of comments made and they wanted to distance themselves, the club wanted to distance themselves from those comments, and then come May, which is 6 months later, he's in charge of the women's team. So it's perhaps not something that has gone down as well as they might have liked, but you can make your own views on that one. Elsewhere then, Division 1 North, Chorley, they have announced they will be playing their first team football at a new facility from next season. They'll be playing and training at Euxton Villa, which is a new £1.4 million facility from next season. They have said they'll be playing all home games there. It's a facility currently being built and they'll also train there. The Chorley secretary has said, we are delighted to have an agreement in place with Euxton Villa FC. We are excited to see the new facility taking shape and looking forward to seeing the finished article come August time. So it might be that if it gets disrupted, it might not quite be ready for the start of the new season. They might have to play the first few games away from home. It's a huge boost to be playing on a brand new 4G pitch, which will of course suit them. And I want to thank Euston for their help and support putting the agreement together. So in terms of the work, clubhouse and car park are being extended. The natural pitch is replaced by an artificial one. Work on the ground is expected to last 4 months, but started several weeks ago. Like I say, it may be ready for the start of the season. It looks as though, and this is all speculative, that the start of the season will be August the 18th. And the reason of saying that is that Northampton have been asking for pre-season friendlies for dates up to and including the 11th. So it seems as though, although again, not had the AGM, no dates confirmed, etc., it seems as though the season will be starting on August the 18th. That's the initial indication. Right, elsewhere, once we get past all of this, Billericay Town. They have announced Josh Oldham as their new manager. He has experience in Tier 3 and the Championship. Billericay, of course, looking to improve on this season's 10th position. They say having Josh on board is a significant step given his experience managing Gillingham, Chatham and coaching at Charlton. Who's also assistant coach at Charlton in the Championship last season, has a wealth of relevant experience and, importantly, the knowledge and contacts to add the right people to the current squad. So new manager there at Billericay Town. And then London Bees, Dan McKim has been appointed as the new coach of London Bees because he was at London Seaward, and that one has gone down particularly well with the fan base, apart from one comment saying that he didn't coach between 2017 and 2020, and then since 2020 he's been managing a team, London Seaward, who finished 8th. And they're particularly unhappy with the spin that's come out from that club. But you've got to see what he can do with that club. He has said he's absolutely delighted to have been given the opportunity to work with such a prestigious club. It's a club with a big history that 4 seasons ago was a Championship outfit, and it's been a tough couple of years. Nobody's hiding from that, but there is huge potential, and I think we have the opportunity to start to wake the sleeping giant. Everyone at the club would like to welcome Dan to the Hive London, and we wish him every success going forwards. Bees fans can stay tuned in the coming weeks for interviews with Dan and his backroom team. And London Bees would also like to place on record a special thanks to all the staff at Watford Ladies who stepped in last season and put in a huge amount of work and effort with the team. So then that's London Bees. What else have we got? Well, we've got promotion into the FAWNL from Barnsley FC women. They won the Northeastern Regional Women's Football League Premier Division last season. They'll be in the FAWNL. Will they be in the same league alongside Barnsley women? We're yet to find out. I'll talk about that soon. And then finally, in terms of news, sorry, two more pieces in terms of news. Firstly, Worthing Football Club have confirmed the departure of John Donoghue and Kelly Newton from their respective roles. Obviously, Worthing finished third in their first season in the FAWNL, and the club want to thank them for their tireless efforts over the past 3 seasons and for guiding the side to new heights over their time in charge. But they have both decided to step down from their respective roles. And then finally, in terms of news, one that, not sure really what to say about it. So, final piece of news really for this week has come from Real Bedford, who aren't in the FAWNL yet, but will be next season after their promotion. And it's that they ceased their lease negotiations with the Mayor and Bedford Council. Now, this comes because the Mayor, who is Tom Wootton, said that it's an effect. What he's doing with the new lease is an effective ban on women's football. So the lease is that the clause states that the council will terminate the lease of the club if the ground is used for anything other than senior men's first team football, despite the council being fully aware of the ladies team playing at the ground. That's to go with a rent increase, which is apparently significant and surpassing that of neighbouring clubs. So the Real Bedford Ladies chair, Jill Upton, has said it's outrageous to penalise female football in this way. To reach a reasonable standard in the women's pyramid, teams have to rely on men's clubs sharing their grounds. It's politics of the 1960s to prevent women playing at a ground on the basis of their gender. Now, it's a very, very long article, and it's one of the things you can't really skip over. You have to take it all in. But what they're saying is, since in the last few years, the Real Bedford men's team has achieved back-to-back doubles. The ladies have just won the doubles and are competing for a treble. They've attracted $4.5 million worth of investment from US billionaires. They ran an event that boosted local business. They're investing significantly in youth football, and they've been covered by major news publications worldwide. And they've been calling for the resignation of the mayor and some councillors, because they feel as though they're enjoying going to Bedford Town, and they've got pictures on social media of some of the councillors in a Bedford Town shirt, and therefore trying to get rid of Real Bedford. That's what the club are saying, for want of a better phrase, in a nutshell. So then, as I said, there's a lot to this. If you then go on, since 71, they also went and got a statement from the council, and what they can say is that the council confirmed they have offered a new 15-year lease at McMullen Park to Real Bedford with a break clause at 3 years. This decision was made in accordance with our procedure for lease renewals. There was a drafting error which was rectified within half an hour of the initial issue being raised to include all football, and an amended heads of terms has been sent. Now, presumably when they say an error, they're referring to the one that means only men can play there. We know the importance of sports across our borough and benefits in health, fitness and well-being. Approving this new lease, we hope, gives the club a great opportunity to grow and develop. Now, then what the main comments on social media as well, which again you can kind of see, is that they have this $4.5 million worth of Bitcoin that's been invested into the club. So people have been saying, well, naturally, they've seen that they're going to want a bite of that by increasing the rent by several £1,000s, and you can see that. There is also the argument, if you have all that money, why don't you just buy the land rather than leasing it? You can see that as well. But it was a very damning statement put out by Real Bedford that they were attacking, the women's game and saying that that lease can only be used for men's senior football, which is not something in this day and age you expect. They seem to have gone back a century to before 1971, where they're not allowing women to play, and that's ridiculous. So hopefully it can be sorted over the summer. They say they've changed the terms on the lease, but we'll see what happens. There's been nothing else that I've seen from Real Bedford, although I will double check that as well, because although it is inevitable at this point of the year, well, not necessarily even this point of the year, but it seems every single week I record the show on a Thursday, mostly in the morning, and it goes out at 6 p.m. And then between me recording the show and the show going out, something happens. There's always news that happens between the two. So maybe something will happen there. We haven't had anything else, but we'll have to just wait and see what comes from that. Right, so that is the news. We'll get on to the FAWNL awards shortly. In fact, we may well do that now, because I believe the questions from this week's show are all relating to the FAWNL awards, if I just bring those up. So it makes more sense to me to do the FAWNL awards before we talk about your questions and comments. So FAWNL awards were held on Sunday at Wembley Stadium ahead of the Women's FA Cup final. It had been my plan to do a bit of a vlog of the day and kind of show you a bit about the awards. However, that didn't really work for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, I didn't get anywhere near as much as I wanted to. For, again, a couple of reasons. Number 1, for the first time ever, my alarm failed to go off. So rather than waking up at 6:30 and leaving at 8, we woke up at 8:10. And it was a mad rush to get down to Wembley, and I rocked up about 2 minutes before the awards started, so couldn't get any pre-award stuff. Number 2, it was very, very loud. It was extremely loud, and because of that, like, you can barely hear, because my external microphone wasn't working properly. You can barely hear what I'm saying in half of the clips. So yeah, coupled with not getting as much footage as I wanted and the microphone being very loud, I'll still show you what I've got, but I'm just going to voice over it instead. So on getting to Wembley, it was a very nice setup between for the FAWNL. It was in one of the big rooms, lots of tables, very nice food. And then we went through the awards. Now, the Golden Glove and the Golden Boot were at the back of the hall. And they were done separately. So what came towards the front was the Manager of the Years and the other awards surrounding that. Player of the Years as well. Player of the Year, Manager of the Year came from the big stage at the front. There was also then a special award given to the previous FAWNL board and the management team that were there for all their hard work over the last few years. So we had the awards, then we had the food. Before we go over to the game, Wembley pretty much sold out. There were some empty seats, but it was filling up quite nicely. And then you got to the start of the game, which there was the big spectacle and all of that comes with an FA Cup final, and we had all the pyrotechnics and the banners being out and everything like that, it really was a big show and dance as the teams came out of the tunnel. Manchester United ended up winning by 4-0. There is more footage of the game. I won't take you through all of it. And then you get to the end. We went back into the hall for about an hour or so afterwards. Had some more food, including a tremendous sausage roll that was what you would expect from Wembley. And it was all in all just a very, very pleasant and enjoyable day, really. I just wish it had been a little bit less of a rush to get down there, and I could have been a bit calmer and recorded a bit more for you. But on the whole, it was a good day. There are things, of course, that could and probably should have been done differently, but it is the first time that they've done it this way, so I'm sure they will make improvements every year. Right, so let's talk then about the awards. We will start with the Players of the Year, and we'll go through all of those. So in the Northern Premier Division, Kaz Fields of Huddersfield Town, the Player of the Year. Now these come from opposition opposition Player of the Match awards. So what happens is at the end of every game, the opposition have to nominate the other side's Player of the Game. So let's say, for example, Forest are playing Wolves. At the end of the game, Forest will pick a player from Wolves and Wolves will pick a player from Forest. The Player of the Year is the player who receives the most nominations throughout the year. So, Northern Premier Division Player of the Year, Kaz Fields of Huddersfield Town. Southern Premier Division Player of the Year, Sophie Peskett of Ipswich Town. Division 1 North, Kennedy Owen of Stockport County. Division 1 Midlands, Kaylee Hines of Loughborough Lightning. Division 1 South East, Nina Miolo of Cambridge City. And Division 1 South West, Charlotte Haynes of Keynsham Town. So those are the Players of the Year. We now go to Manager of the Year. Manager of the Year shortlisted by the independent panel that do Manager of the Month every month, and then the FAWNL board picked the Manager of the Year from that shortlist. There was no public vote for Manager of the Year. So in Tier 3, Jason Stevens of #United picked up the award. In Division 1, it was Andy Mulligan of Sporting Cowser, and then David Stadden got the Reserve Manager of the Year. Special recognition award then there, as I mentioned previously, the former FAWNL Management Committee, Chris Clark, Amanda Cummings, Karen Falconer, Laurie Morrison, Roger Reeves, Jane Roberts and Carol West. 5 of those 7 were at Wembley to collect their awards. So then we go to Community Club of the Year. In Tier 3, this was Plymouth Argyle, and in Tier 4, it was Actonians who picked up those awards. And then there was the Outstanding Contribution Award, which went to Liz Pamplin of Cambridge United. Now, if you want to, because the Community Club Awards and the Outstanding Contribution Award. They all came with short videos. Now, if you want to watch those videos, they're only a couple of minutes long each. They're all on the FA Women's National League Twitter page, where you can do and watch those. And then we go on to the Golden Glove Awards, which we'll look at first. I just need to get to where they all are. Or we're going to do, well, we'll do Golden Boot first then, because that's closer on Twitter. So Golden Boot Awards, the 6 divisions of the Golden Boot. In the Northern Premier Division, Heidi Logan scoring 14 times in 20 appearances. Natasha Thomas getting it for Ipswich Town. She scored 20 times this season. Helen Linsky of Hull City, 19 times from midfield for Hull. Jade Bell of Northampton Town, 20 in 22. Ashley Hinks of Division 1 South East, Golden Boot for the 3rd year in a row, 34 goals for Wimbledon as they get promoted. And Annie Colston with 35 goals. She also finished as the top scorer across the FA Women's National League. If I remember rightly, she scored 7 in that 28-0 game against Chelsea, if I remember that rightly. So there's the Golden Boot winners. Then we go to Golden Glove. So Grace Donnelly. So Golden Glove is to the keeper who kept the most clean sheets in the season. Golden Glove, Northern Premier Division, Grace Donnelly of Newcastle. In the Southern Premier Division, Hannah Horton of Portsmouth, 14 clean sheets. Laura Wareham of Middlesbrough with 11 in Division 1 North. Natalie Hall with 9 in Division 1 Midlands. Lauren Dolbear with 8 in Division 1 South East. And in Division 1 South West, Abby Bond, who kept 11 clean sheets. And those are all of the awards from the FAWNL Awards at Wembley. Surrounding the awards, there's a little bit of trouble. And it comes on to the questions, really. Now, the first one is the incorrect awarding in the reserve division of the Golden Glove by the league, which was awarded then on the day, but hasn't been referenced since. There are discrepancies that they gave it to the Bournemouth keeper, but it actually wasn't the Bournemouth reserve keeper. And a quick fact check of that when it was brought to my attention shows that yes, it has been awarded incorrectly. They've not then referenced that, because if you look at the pictures of like the Golden Glove winners, it's zoomed in and has cropped out the reserve Golden Glove winners and essentially not drawn not drawn any attention to it. So there's that as well. And then if you go on the FAWNL Twitter, the Golden Boot and the Golden Glove winners were given this essentially like big cardboard box, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice cardboard. It's not just a brown Amazon box. It's got pictures of it. It's got the league logo, etc. But it is a cardboard box, and we all thought, oh, that's a nice cover, and there's a trophy inside of it. But there's not even a trophy inside of it. What you got is that big cardboard box. And that's all you got. And like the Player of the Years, they all got nice little glass trophies. Manager of the Years got trophies, and the Golden Glove and the Golden Boot didn't. Now it has come out that they're going to get additional trophies in due course, which to me is just a reaction to the backlash of not getting those awards on the day. I also don't see why the Golden Glove and the Golden Boot couldn't have been awarded up on the stage. I get why they weren't, because rather than before, when the league had this big showcase playoff and they were in a big, proper hall sort of thing afterwards, sit down meal. The awards went on for a few hours, like the one I went to after the game between Wolves and Southampton, because it was done at Wembley, and it was great that it was done at Wembley, but you're so dictated by Wembley's timing. So you couldn't start it until Wembley opened. Wembley opened about 3 hours before kickoff, and then you have to wait for everybody to get in and get settled. So it started about 12:10. Then you've got to give time for everybody to have lunch and get all the awards done before the game starts. Then after the game, you can go back, and then you're dictated on when you have to leave by Wembley shutting. So it was great that they went through it at a decent pace, but at some points it felt a bit rushed. There were people that are saying that the Golden Glove and the Golden Boot winners were kind of put right at the back, out the way, and it did feel like that in some respects. The idea was there weren't enough tables and stuff. Some people were eating on the floor, which is also true, because the tables, they weren't really proper sit down tables. It was kind of there were quite a few bar tables where you just kind of stood around and you were having your food on those and your drinks on those. But it was the first year they'd done it, and obviously they will learn from it. Of course they will, and hopefully new things will come from that. But yes, it has been announced that the Golden Glove and the Golden Boot winners will get other awards. The cardboard box couldn't even be flattened to take it home, so they had to go back on the tube with this big, huge cardboard box. Now, the league may well say, and it would kind of be viable, in that they couldn't do that beforehand, because the Peterborough Elite game obviously could possibly have had a factor. I'm not 100% sure, particularly on the Golden Boot. Don't doubt it would have had a factor on Golden Glove, but there is the possibility that somebody scores 20 goals, I suppose, and they didn't want somebody to be different. But yeah, they should have done better with that. But on the whole, the day was good. As a general, it did feel quite cramped at times. It was a very long, thin room. There were a lot of people in there. It did get quite warm at times, but on the whole, for a first one, it was okay. But it does lead on to the questions that we've got from this week's show. One from Graham, who says, "How many boots and gloves can you fit in a box?" And again, we thought those boxes had the trophies inside, but they didn't. So that's one that they really should have done better on that. And then the other one question for this week comes in from Nick, and he says, "If you could make any recommendations or goals for the FAWNL for next season, what would they be?" So this is, again, I think the league did this. There was one of those like kiddie like plastic football nets that you can get, and they'd put that in there, and they'd printed off a load of cards that basically they wanted you to put on your goals for the 24-25 season. Obviously, it was predominantly players and staff from all the clubs that were there. So there was a lot of, we want promotion, we want higher attendances, etc. And then there were the likes of me and Nick from 71 and the like, who, we targeted more things, and maybe it's kind of half what the league wanted as well. We targeted things more at the league. What do we want the league to do next season? So I looked at my goals. What did I put next season? Well, one of my goals was everybody to put their stats on full time, because being given 5 days, which is more than the handbook says, and then being given 2 chasing emails before you get fined, that needs to become a lot stricter in my opinion. So that was goal number 1, is people put their stats on full time, and I wasn't the only person to do that. Somebody else had done that as well. Number 2, and I put this in all block capitals, and everybody who's watched this show for a while knows how I feel about this. Goal number 2, video the draws. Summer Knockout is starting in 2 weeks' time. And once again, I'm going to show how easy it can be to video a draw. Video the draws. That was the big one for yeah. And then I put a personal goal on there, which is for to increase the viewership of this show, which is my big goal for next year. If I can average around 100 views next year, that is my goal. So if you know of other friends and family within the women's football circle that don't already watch this show, then do please let them know about it. So yes, those are the questions for this week. Those are my goals. In terms of the league, I think, as I said, the league need to be better on about videoing the draws, be a bit more transparent in places. Could probably do a little bit more interaction with clubs in certain areas, but given that they were kind of thrown into it towards the start of the season, I think they need to really plan well over the next few months, and hopefully they can really hit next season running. But that will about do it then for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. I had planned to go through some of those stats and those stats articles that I've been working on. However, I'm conscious that we're on the 40-minute mark now. There was so much news this week, so much to talk about with the awards, that next week we'll probably do that. Next week could well be a bit of an intermission. We're waiting on 2 teams to get themselves promoted into the FAWNL. They should both happen this weekend. Because we are waiting on Dulwich Hamlet, who just need a point. Oh, sorry, they don't even need a point because everybody else has finished. All Dulwich Hamlet need to do to get promoted into the FAWNL is not lose by 13 goals. They're playing Saltdean United this weekend. That's all they need to do. Don't lose by 13 goals. And they will be in the FAWNL next season. And then the only other one we're waiting on is the West Midlands, where there's still a couple of games left to go. You've got Worcester City, who are playing a game this weekend. There's then Lye Town, who are playing their final game of the season on the 26th. So if Worcester City win this weekend, they will be in the FAWNL next season. Anything other than that, we've got to wait another week to the 26th, when Worcester in first play Lye Town in second in a winner-takes-all scenario. So Worcester will really be hoping that they can get that job done this week. So that will about do it. As I said, so we're still waiting on those 2 teams. Then we've got to wait for these inter-team movements, because Rugby are going to end up in the Northern Premier Division, I'm almost certain. We need a team to come down from the north into the Midlands, and we need a team to move from the east into the west. There's a lot of the kind of inter-league movements happening this year, but we'll cover that a bit more next week. Next Thursday then at 6 p.m. the show will be back for episode 136, where we will fully round off this season. Hopefully all the teams for next season will be in, and we can start to look ahead to this year's summer knockout tournament. Tomorrow, South East and South West will have their stats articles put up online, so be sure to check those out. Of course, if you're a fan of teams from any of the other 4 leagues, your stats articles are already out. Go and have a look, see how you compared, not just in your league but also in your tier and the rest of the FAWNL. That will about do it then for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and goodbye.